So I'm sure all of you watching this at one point in your life have been at a point where you're so focused on one objective or some sort of goal that you kind of obsessed over it. You dedicated way too much time over it, whether it was studying for an exam or for a few months you had to really lock in to get this job or whatever. So you neglected a large portion of other aspects in your life that matter, such as like relationships, family, etc. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, because for the past 4 years, I find myself in that position on like a pretty extreme scale of like being way too obsessive with reaching goals, climbing peaks per se, that it's like negatively impacted a large portion of my life. And, from the outside, it might look really positive, but I've been thinking about it a lot recently for the past few months. And it's really has made me rethink a lot of things and kind of reapproach how I view life. So I'd say this hyper obsessiveness got really bad for me once I did start training to climb Mount Everest. But its kind of roots are dated back a little bit further when I initially started my Minecraft YouTube channel, which for most of you might know, like I had a Minecraft YouTube channel. I funded my Mount Everest climb with it. And I mean, little backstory, I'd been wanting to be a YouTuber since I was like 10 years old. So I finally got my first viral video when I was 16. And like, do you realize like a 16-year-old finally getting that success of like something he's wanted for so long? I think it kind of hardwired itself in my brain. Like, we need to get this more. Brain's still developing, but like you start hardwiring it to only seek out these viral videos, this channel success, which I don't think is very... Maybe it's healthy. Like, you're developing a grind set, like all these influencers will say, right? So I worked on that for 4 years full time, just kind of growing it bigger and bigger, trying to get more and more views, more money off of this channel. And I was in school at the time, then I graduated, but I was still at home and I had a ton of time to dedicate to kind of multiple things, right? I had the channel and I was super hyper obsessive over it. Like, I tried maximizing my time, putting a lot towards it. I was still at home though. And I still had a little bit of free time because my videos weren't too high effort. The Minecraft ones, I could do research on some subject for a week, put together the video in a week, and it would get like 10 million views in a week. It was kind of nuts. Minecraft YouTube during this time was kind of crazy. So I still had a decent amount of time. But I was seeing myself fall down, and I didn't really recognize it. I'd say later on, and I'll get into this in a second, but I'd say later on when I recognized this was when I moved out from my house to Washington, across the country, Massachusetts to Washington. And it's like, you don't take things for granted until you what does the saying go? Like you don't realize how important something was until you lost it. There you go. So, backtracking, or I guess we're getting too ahead of ourselves, is I slowly started falling down this path of putting way too much time, hyper obsessing over this Minecraft YouTube channel, that I was really neglecting family time. I was really neglecting these other areas of life that I feel like are important. And that's, super important, is that you realize what is important in your life and dedicate time towards that. But I didn't know. I was just so locked in on this channel and I wanted to grow it to be as big as possible. So over the course of like 4 years, I just completely grinded out this Minecraft YouTube channel. I didn't hang out with anybody from my school or anything anymore. I neglected these relationships. Mom would ask to go out for lunch and I'd be like, oh, I got to work on this video. It's like, dude, you've been locked in your room for the last 7 days working on this video. You can, like, looking back, it's so stupid. But I slowly started building up this hyper, and we'll just say discipline. It was overly disciplined of a lifestyle. I think discipline is great. I think discipline is good, but you have to be disciplined enough to be able to make time for these other things. You'll get so comfortable working on something and spreading yourself too thick that you lose discipline in actually like making time for other aspects in your life that actually matter. And you don't realize it till it's too late. So that's where we're going to head into now. 2022, it was like early 2023, late 2022, decided I wanted to climb Everest just randomly out of the blue. If any of you know the story, I was just like watching some random. No, I wanted to make a YouTube video about climbing Mount Everest. And then I looked at some documentary. I was like, wait, this is sick. I want to do this. And I kind of started diving down the rabbit hole, and I got into it and like realized I loved it. I love mountaineering. I love spending time doing it. But with wanting to climb Mount Everest, it takes a lot of training. So like you don't die, for example. And it takes a lot of, I mean, you don't need too much technical training, but like you need to go to other peaks and get training there. So that was a lot of time. So I started training for Mount Everest and working on the Minecraft channel, which I was already hyper obsessive of. So you can imagine I kind of just take the same mentality of working on the Minecraft channel at full effort to my training as well. So now I'm like, I looked at it as like two different jobs. It's so stupid, like 2 full-time jobs, bro. I'm training for Mount Everest and a Minecraft YouTuber. It's like it's the dumbest thing to say, but like pretty much like every single second was spent doing that. And I've always had like this is a toxic relationship with work, and like this is what I really want to tell the story to deter people from developing the same toxic mindset and relationship with work in life, and balancing that out. You know, I'd be working and I would go on my phone for like 10 minutes and I would get like really pissed off at myself. I was like, I have such limited time. Like I can't be spending it on my phone. Like that really matters, bro. That really matters. Like, yes, I think focus on the things that matter, but like 10 minutes away from work isn't always bad in some cases. But I kind of developed this mindset, like not even just for the things that didn't matter, like let's say Instagram Reels, or I was never a TikToker. I was an IG Reeler, doom scroller, if I were to pick one. But you know, I'd look at that time I spent on that and get really angry with myself, and I would like, it wouldn't sit well with me. It would like kind of haunt me. It's so like David Goggins is like, if I didn't do it to my full effort or like work every second of the day, it haunts me. I would kind of start developing that mindset, not only with these stupid things that I still don't to this day don't think matter, but family time. Like, you know, family would get together at our house and I'd just be sitting there and I wouldn't stop thinking about like work. And I'd be like, okay guys, you know, I'm going to get back to it or whatever. I couldn't just like sit there and be like, we're going to live in the moment right now and just enjoy this time. And then afterwards, if for some reason I would start like tweaking out about it a little bit. I'd be like, shoot, now I need to completely lock in because I had spent this time away from training or working on videos, and it was just super toxic. And it's like I look back at these moments specifically, but like I love my mom. I consider myself like a mama's boy or whatever, but you know, she'd ask me to go on for walks, or maybe better examples like going out for lunch. And I would have had a hard training day. I would have been like, blah, blah, blah. I actually felt like shit too, like most days. So like mom would try talking to me in the kitchen while I'm making breakfast. And I'm like, I just ran so much. Like, I don't want to talk right now. I just like be like this like grudgy guy around the house. But like mom asked me to go out to lunch with her. I'm like, no, sorry. Like I kind of got work to do, but like, and you know, I have a video to record, but like maybe I did, but realistically I didn't want to go eat what was at the restaurant because like I was so comfortable being disciplined with my own lunch. And I was like, oh, I need to make sure to get my correct macros in. Like it sounds so stupid, but I feel like, I don't know if any of you relate to this, but like you got to eat the same thing every day because you know what you're going to get. That I couldn't just, and it wouldn't even matter, but I couldn't just like take, you know, a little bit of time away and just go get lunch with my mom and actually talk to her and enjoy the moment instead of sitting there thinking about how much more banger Minecraft videos I could be making. So whatever, that all got me to Mount Everest. So did it work? I completely grinded, like neglected family time, everything like that. I turned 20 after Everest. So like, you know, I'm 20 years old. I did Everest. I spent so much time, neglected so much family time, but I didn't really think about it that much. I was like, you know, I'm still here. I can go out with them anytime I want to, but I was always going to have the same negative mindset and, you know, balance with it. So, you know, those, and I will say like climbing, it was so great in every other aspect, like the actual act of climbing it, amazing. It was all this just other stuff behind the scenes that was the problem. And I never really realized it until I made the decision to move from Massachusetts to Washington State to pursue the climbing channel more because I love doing it. And like, seriously, I'm so grateful to be in a position where people are watching these videos. But once I got out here and like, once I made that decision, I was like, damn, like there isn't going to be any of those moments where like my mom can just ask me to go for a walk on a Tuesday afternoon and I can spend time with her. Or, you know, my brother comes down the stairs or my dog comes down the stairs and I can spend time with them doing whatever. There isn't going to be those moments anymore because I'm going to be across the country. So all of those times I had rejected that, I could have been doing them and maybe I wouldn't be as regretful of it now. Because I regret it a lot when I did not take that time off. And I guarantee you I would be in the same position if I had just taken the time away from work, because I'd already been, it's not like I wasn't working. I was literally, I'd even have like a 9 to 5 schedule. I would just go from day to night, putting pretty much all my time into it. Because I had this, you know, like all these guys online say, this mindset where if you take a little bit of time off, you're going to fall behind in life. And it's awful. And I like really am making this video so none of you do this, because you need to find the balance. So I get out here, Washington, I'm pretty much all alone. I got some friends out here. And you know, I think if you do go through a big move like that, it's important to have some sort of goal to keep going. I was like, okay, now I'm going to climb. So that's what kind of like kept my mind occupied and everything. But I couldn't stop thinking about how like I don't know if I'm ever going to be back there. And there's these like regrets that start building up. And then you start to realize like one clip that I hate a lot, that I always get seen thrown around in like these motivational edits, is like, imagine sitting on your deathbed and around you is, you're surrounded by the ghosts of your dreams and true potential. It's like, no, dude, if you're on your deathbed, you're going to be wishing you're around your family. And like, you're going to be wishing you had spent those moments with them. And that doesn't mean you could go completely slack. Like you're like, oh, I should have completely slacked off and not did anything and spent these moments. Like, no, like you should have spent like some time with them. You should have balanced it out. And I don't like, even this like Goggins talk, like being unbalanced. Like you know, Goggins like doesn't have a good, like he's great for like learning discipline, like take whatever you want from him. But like other aspects of life, he completely failed in, besides reaching those goals. And I feel like I've done the same thing. So yeah, that brings me to here today where I'm like away from my family. I really wish I had spent more time with them, and I wish I hadn't just been so laser focused on my work that I neglected them, because it wouldn't have made a difference, dude. Like even if you just spent an hour less a day and just spent time with them versus making a Minecraft video. A lot of people talk about this legacy, this like they have to be the best, truest potential they can. Nobody gives a shit in 100 years. It's just like the reality. Even 1,000 years. Let's say you're George Washington. I don't think anybody will give a shit about George Washington, even though he's probably like the most historic figure ever. And even then, dude, like nobody's actively thinking how much of a goat George Washington is, like on a day-to-day basis. I think he was, I haven't looked into him, but I think he's pretty cool for what he did. But like, no, like everybody focuses on themselves. Nobody cares. So live your life for you, not for like some like everlasting legacy that you have to slave every second of your life away for. And that's what I want to highlight, is every second of your life. Like I said at the beginning of this video, some of you may be doing this like short term. Maybe you had to study for an exam. Personally, I'm just sharing my story of doing this constantly for the last 5 years. Even if I don't have something big going on, I'm still looking for a productive solution that I need to do, which I think is good. But you have to realize, okay, sometimes you can ease it back a little bit and give time to those things throughout your life that actually do matter. Because you're going to be on that deathbed and you're going to be like, wow, like, or maybe even a family member dies. I haven't had a family, like a close family member die, but I know I'm going to be thinking like, damn, I'm across the country and I couldn't have spent more time with them. So I don't regret moving out across the country, or really, because I think I need to do it for personal growth and everything like that, and career wise, and I love to visit and everything. But those past 4 years where I was just so locked in, and I guess it's kind of selfish too, because you don't value anyone else's like love towards you. You're just kind of doing it whenever it's convenient for you. But it's more so those times where that I neglected a lot of these portions of my life that I regret. So that's another thing about the whole like that one problem I had was, and I still kind of do it to this day. Like I'll call my mom when I'm driving because like I'm not going to be doing anything else. But I would only like hang out with them when it was convenient for me, which is just like so stupid, dude. Just like spend time with your family. Stop laser focusing on your work. Because that's exactly what I did for like 4 or 5 years, and now I regret it because I don't have access to my family anymore. So if there's a lesson I want to have you all take away from this, like you obviously look at what I did, because now I'm looking back at my past self and thinking like, dude, you kind of fricked up a little bit. But and that's not to say like climbing Mount Everest wasn't a great experience. I kind of already said that, but I wish I could go back and spread out my time a little bit more, because like that extra hour, dude, like it doesn't really matter that much. Sort of something I want you all to take away is like, seriously, look at the things that matter, okay? If any of you are in this mentality where like you feel really distraught when you take time away from work, you just gotta like think about the things that matter in your life. Like I said before, think about what you will regret on your deathbed. I think that is really telling of what you need to put in prioritizing your life. Is like, if I'm on that deathbed, what am I going to be regretting? What will I wish I had spent more time doing? I guarantee you, if you had spent 8 hours instead of 10 hours working on work a day, I don't think you're really going to mind that much. Like, you put in the good work. But 2 hours with family a day or whatever could go a long way. Like, and if you don't spend that time, you're going to be really regretting it. And this could be anything. Like, it could be another relationship, or maybe even just taking time to travel and see the world, right? I'd take family, for example, because that's just something that resonates with me a lot. But you really have to just look at these things and make time for them. Even if you feel so disciplined and comfortable working on your work, like, you got to get a little bit uncomfortable. Like, make it a habit. I literally have to make it a habit to go out and like not work, or like spend time with family and like call them, because there's always this voice in my head that's like, you need to be doing something, you need to be overdrive, hyper focused. It's so unhealthy. It's such a toxic mindset. So you kind of got to re-hardwire your brain. And unfortunately, I've been doing this for the past 5 years, and my brain is like, I think it's pretty fucked up, because I've been doing it and like thinking of time away from work as a negative thing. But it never really hit me that it can be such a positive thing once I kind of lost that access to spending time with my family frequently. So seriously, look at what matters in your life and put time towards it. And then if there's any like grind set advice I want to give that I implement a lot too, is like, dude, like, get rid of those reels, get rid of those TikToks. Although I try not to, like, I still beat myself over stuff up like that, but I'll never beat myself up over again if, I got to go, my brother calls and we're going to be talking for a little bit. I wouldn't like beat myself up, but like feel bad about it in a sense. I will never do that again. And I'm kind of forcing myself to like have those moments as well. But TikTok, nah, bro, I'm slapping myself after, because that time could have been spent doing something more meaningful. And the thing is, on my deathbed, I'll regret having put too much time towards something like that, because I could have been putting it towards something more meaningful, like even climbing or training, or spending time on those things that mattered. Basically, any of that time, like stupid time, where it's just unproductive, stupid stuff, meaningless, that's just like a lose-lose. There's not really any reason to be scrolling and doing that. Easy dopamine, as we say. But yeah, that's just something I've wanted to talk about for a little bit. It was a little bit of a yap, but I hope some of you take a lesson away from this, because yeah, it's been with me for like a few months now, ever since I've moved out here, and I've been making some changes in my life, just balancing it out and not trying to stress out over if I get 7 hours of working or 8 hours, which like is so, it sounds so stupid, but it is pretty tough for me at least. And whether you might be on a different scale, you might be on a smaller scale, but I think everybody feels like at one point they get burnt out or they feel like they're not spending enough time on these other things. So please keep that in consideration. Focus on the things that matter and think about what you're going to regret and really figure out how you're going to allocate your time that way, and just enjoy the moments. Because it's hard to take time away from like a really goal you're stoked about. Like I love climbing. I want to climb K2. I want to do all this stuff. Everest, it was the same thing with Everest. I was just so stoked on doing it. But I never really thought about those other things. So be stoked about what you're doing. Be hyped about it. But realize, there's a time and a place for everything. And you can't spread yourself too thick. You got to balance it out a little bit, because at the end of the day, even an hour doesn't make a difference. You don't want to lose your soul, and 100 years from now it won't matter. So you might as well live a life where, like, yeah, when you're dying, you don't regret what you did. So yeah, that's kind of my little rant. All of you, keep kicking ass, stay hard, never stop grinding. Nah, just kidding.